Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL Podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Well, welcome back to the DCL Podcast, your podcast to cruise a little smarter. I'm your host, Lake, and I'm joined by my co-host, Christy. Christy, how are you today?
I am well, Lake. How are you?
I am doing pretty good. In an unironic way, it is long time no see.
I mean, it's like 12 hours no see.
Correct.
Something. 20 hours?
Give or take.
Something. But yeah, we're just off the cruise. That's why I'm extra squeaky with my excited voice. We just finished our first ever podcast cruise.
Yes, and it was so much fun. It was so great to both meet new people and get to hang out and make new friends and do all sorts of fun things.
Yeah, it was fun. It's exhausting. I am exhausted. And
for sure.
I feel like I slept. Like some of those days, I slept until like after 9, which was like 8 because the time, but then it was not. And I don't know what was happening to the time ever, but it changed 3 times on our cruise. Well, twice, I suppose, right? And I did tons of sleeping, and yet I'm exhausted.
It's the bane of a good cruise.
It really is.
Fun, exhausting, somehow also relaxing.
Right? Like we didn't do a lot. There was a lot of sitting and maybe a few beverages were consumed and a lot of talking, but I feel like not a lot of activity. So let's get into it. We are talking about our 5-night cruise on the Disney Destiny, where we did our first ever podcast cruise. It went to Cozumel and Castaway Cay.
Yes, and it was a wonderful time. We sailed out of Fort Lauderdale, which was now my second time sailing out of that port. We did elect to drive. Lots of people asked me, like, oh, did you take the train? I was like, no, I don't think I would take the train again. As long of a drive, I mean, it's about 3.5 to 4 hours. It's still convenient enough to drive to that port for us.
Why do you think you would not take the Brightline again? Just the price aspect of it?
The value for time versus the price of it. I mean, it is expensive, first off. Even if you wait for like a deal or you sign up for the emails, it's still pretty costly. And then for us, because we still have to get to the Orlando airport. So I'm still taking the like 2 hours early to get over there because you're essentially going to the airport and then you have to be early there for the train to come. So it really, at the end of the day, didn't save me any time because I think you got back to your home before I had gotten home anyways.
Right.
So the only luxury was that I didn't have to drive for 2.5 hours. But it was definitely just much more convenient to be able to drive straight home.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, and Chad also mentioned parking fees, which we paid to park at Fort Lauderdale, but all of that wrapped together is still cheaper than doing the Brightline.
And I realize in the tolls, I do want to look at our, whatever the toll card, Sun Pass, whatever it's called, really how much it costs, because it just felt like we were paying like $3.50 like every 5 feet. Not really, but it seemed like I am curious what the tolls cost. But even still, the parking at the port was pretty cheap though.
$20 a night.
Yeah. Well, but usually the first and the last day count as a day. At Port Canaveral they do, so that would even be cheaper. So anyway, that was a good Shayna, and so we are live for our Patreon right now, and Shayna in the Patreon chat has said her opinion has changed on the Brightline, and now I need to know, is it like for Brightline or against Brightline?
I think it's still a great option, and it's great if you need to get something done in that time.
Right, like you edited a video, I think, or looked at some video footage on your last ride home, and if you're a solo, it makes a lot of sense, but yeah, if you're coming with a larger group, renting a car is still probably, and you're out of town, the more economical choice. And like some people, one of our listeners picked up a car rental from the port area today, maybe from the airport. I'm not sure where she picked it up, but the airport is so close to the Fort Lauderdale port that picking up a car from the airport would be pretty easy. So I know that they picked it up and then drove to Walt Disney World today.
Yeah, lots of people going back to Walt Disney World as well. And Shayna said, against, I'll drive next time.
So
Just one of those things you have to decide, is it right for you and your family, I think. And I think if like just the straight time and cost is what's important, renting the car or driving yourself is the way to go.
Yeah. All right. So enough of that. We both more easily got to the port this time.
I was about to say, what a pleasant experience compared to last time, because we drove right in, made the turn right into the port there, parking and dropping off everything was easy. And we waited in a pretty short line, and, maybe 20 minutes or so to get through the check-in stuff, but that was it.
I feel like the line was bigger than it should have been and slower than it should have been. We arrived, 10 minutes or something, maybe 15 after you, Lake, based upon where we were in line, I think. And if it was even 10 minutes. And I felt like you were standing outside in a line, even when your port arrival time was called. So they were definitely keeping people away for a little bit longer until closer to their port arrival time. But they didn't make people wait all the way to the end. So if you have a later port arrival time, they weren't making you wait until like 1:30. Friends of ours that were on the cruise also had like a 1:30 port arrival. They boarded shortly after we did. But I think that terminal was a bit backed up. And the Castaway Club and First Time Cruiser line was pretty long for security once you were inside. Now, on the flip side, if you were Platinum, Pearl, because I think Platinum comes over too, right? To the other line, Platinum, Pearl, and Concierge, there was no line for them. But you had to wait outside until there was enough space for them to filter people through. So, not to say that I want to show my privilege, but also I wish they had a way to like shuffle through that outside line a little bit to say, if you're in one of these other categories, since they're just not letting people into that room until it was less crowded, they should figure that out. Because we had just missed a monsoon at some point, and if you were standing in that one overhang, you would have gotten soaking wet because that rain was coming in sideways. So anyway, I feel like they still have some work to do to figure out their lines there.
I thought it was fine.
Yeah.
I'm not upset.
Well, I don't
We got
think
aboard the ship.
I'm not upset. I just want to wait in less lines for no reason. I guess I should have arrived earlier.
Also true.
But, we had to like wake up and leave. We drove in that morning, and we're not as early birds as Lake and Katie are, who arrived to the port like an hour and a half before their port arrival time.
Yeah, we hung out enough. Well, we went into a Publix and grabbed some snacks and used the restroom and got ourselves reset. And we were like a minute from the port there. So that was super easy.
So we get back on the ship. What was your first impression? Again, second impression?
I mean, I was more excited to just like show Katie the ship.
Yeah.
Because she had not seen it. So just to like walk on board and watch her reactions to things and, see what interests her. But I mean, she's a lovely ship. We entered, Spider-Man was up there waving. I did like too that because it was just us two, they introduced us by our first names, which I actually thought was nice.
I am so glad you got a good experience that you liked. They cannot figure out ours. Even when I said the words, we have two different names. And so let's just use our kid's name. Like I specifically worded it that way. They still were like the Blake family. It should just be Blake's family. Stop putting the in front of it. They just don't know how to I know people like that. So anyway.
But yeah, so our embarkation day, actually, I think a little bit different than what we usually do, because a lot of times we go and do sit down lunch. We did not do that. We went right up to deck food and did that. And I'm trying to think what we really did after that between, I guess actually our rooms were almost ready because we didn't get on until about 1 o'clock, 1:15 or so.
And there was a lot of talking because we ran into people. So you and I were actually getting our deck food around the same time. And we also opted to do deck food. And there were just some of the listeners that were on the cruise and the people cruising with us, I know, came up and talked to you. And then I think somebody who follows you from Mousegen, right, came up and talked to you. And so I think like the theme of the whole trip was just there was a lot of talking to people.
Lots and lots of talking, and it was wholesome.
It was nice. The luggage was super late on this day for many, many people. Like, I don't think we got our luggage until 4:30, maybe.
Yeah, I kind of saw that coming because when we dropped the luggage off, it was all still just like they were just piling it right there where you dropped it off.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no way that this luggage is going to get to the room. Yeah, we did. I think we got our luggage just a little bit before you guys.
In fact, the ship had left the port before we ever got our luggage. And that was one where we actually remembered to look eventually at the
Tags.
air tags to see was our luggage with us on the ship even, because, you know, you kind of want your luggage. But so, yeah, then we did a meetup.
We did. Our first like welcome aboard meetup was in there at Marceline at that little like cove bar,
which was busier than I expected it to be for that time. And I think that little Marceline Cove Bar section was pretty busy almost the whole cruise.
I think, yeah, almost every time. I mean, it's a good spot where adults can take their kids to get their food and say, hey, I want real coffee. It's right there. It's convenient. You know, that is one nice thing is there's no shortage of convenient coffee places, despite the fact that the cove is, you know, a little bit out of the way.
It's very true. So I think the meetup was good. We had these lanyards that we were giving out, but because the luggage didn't come, we didn't have those to give out yet. I had actually ordered magnets and they arrived to my house 2 days after the cruise left. They were supposed to be there the day before. So everything was just a little crazy, but it was fine. It all worked out.
Yeah. Well, we can skip over the muster drill. We've heard too much about that. I don't care to talk about it.
There's nothing to say about it.
Yeah, we did the sail away party, which I think this is like my favorite sail away party. I like the music on the Wish class ships for it. And then, of course, you get a little bit of the Destiny specific music as well. So this is definitely one of my favorite sail away parties for sure. And I'm trying to think of what we did before we actually went to dinner, though.
I watched Seize the Adventure from my stateroom TV at some point, for sure.
Oh, you know what? I think we took a nap. And Katie went to the gym. Katie was really good about going to the gym and doing her runs. I was not so much.
No, it's fine. You'll start up again tomorrow.
Correct.
Maybe.
I will.
Yeah, so we had late dining. Late dining is just too late for me. I feel like in theory it is easier when you're in a group, but yeah. So there was always like, let's eat a first dinner and then go to late dining, which was fine. We had a lot of popcorn.
You were all about the popcorn.
We love popcorn. I always love popcorn.
You were always like, do you need popcorn?
And I never got you popcorn one time.
No, we never needed popcorn.
That's the wrong answer.
No, the right answer was chicken tenders on the pool deck.
Yeah, that is a good answer.
We did eat plenty of those. My
son's about to have braces, so we are getting the last of our popcorn as a family because you can't have popcorn with braces. So,
no. Well, do we want to jump in and just talk about dining?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did have pretty much a big group. We had a couple of days where tables were like not really spread out. We were always in a pod, and then 1923 we were in a big long row. And I thought it was all nice. Like when we were in the pod of tables, I would just get up and like try to talk to all the tables. Actually, it was harder when it was the row because you really couldn't back up or move anywhere. But we skipped World of Marvel because that was our Palo night. And we had doubled up on 1923 and Pride Lands Lion King. And I think Pride Lands, especially that first night with the show, might be my favorite rotational dining menu and entertainment. Like, it is so good. The menu is super unique. Like, you get a really good diverse flavor set with it.
Yeah, no, it is great. And to have the double Pride Land rotation, because they don't do Pirate Night menu on the 5-night Destiny cruises, which Bethany's the one who taught us this little bit of information. But it's really nice to be in that restaurant twice. The only thing I'll say is if you're in a group cruise and it's the first night and there's a show, that makes it hard to talk a little bit too, which is just a very specific, problem that maybe you want to talk to people if you're getting sat with them for the first time, but the show's going on. But man, I love that show. And also, I'm old a little bit because sometimes it was a little loud. Did it feel louder?
We were pretty close to the stage. And also we were like, the first time we saw it, I felt like we were very much like, oh, we are here for the show. And of course, this time we were a little bit like, oh, here's all these people who we want to and need to talk to. So yes, like, I think you just noticed the noise of the show because there was additional conversations happening for sure. But I mean, it was lovely. The show is still spectacular and great.
Music is so good. I love it so much. This ship, between the Broadway style shows in the evening and then even the adult only shows and then the Lion King Pride Lands dinner show, I feel like the entertainment on this ship is just a little bit better than the others.
So much talent and so much good, unique entertainment, like specific to the Destiny as well, which I think is really cool. But we'll continue on with dining. We did have the second night of Lion King, which I thought the menu was still pretty good. Not quite as good as that first night, though.
Right. I know I had the short ribs and they were delicious. Maybe too much barbecue sauce on it, but the short ribs were really good, really tender. I know that. And that's the menu too that has like 2 gluten-free or allergy-friendly desserts that I got both of because they are just delicious. And overall, just great menu. It is weird being in there and having the drum set just sort of covered. And if you have a table right next to the drum set, like we did, we were right next to the drum set. It's just weird to like stare at this covered up drums. I don't really know what they could do differently. And because people go up to stuff and touch things, they can't really leave it uncovered. But it's unfortunate that they couldn't because it did take something away from the aesthetic of the room that it was covered.
I do feel like they could very easily add some like musical element to night 2 that is not necessarily the full singing show, but like even if they just had like the drummer and like some of those like background music in there playing a little bit, I think that would add a lot to that night 2. And I will say actually the entrees from night 2, Katie and I, between the two of us, got 3 different entrees because they all sounded good and they were all really good. The pumpkin ravioli was really, really good. The scallops was pretty decent.
That's awesome. Does the Wish have entertainment on night 2? Like Coco has entertainment both nights and that.
Well,
theater.
the Wish has never had a reason to need night 2.
They only have so far. Well, it'll be interesting to see what they do. You're right.
I agree.
It's only 4-night cruises and there's a pirate night.
Yep.
So,
well,
all right.
Let's move on to 1923. First night, it's been a while since I've done 1923, and that first night menu I thought was still as phenomenal as it always is. I did do the filet, and it's by far the best like red meat option you can get in rotational dining. I thought the second night, at least for the entree I ordered, was kind of lackluster, and I really just like ordered everything that the server recommended, and I was like, ooh, this was kind of a miss.
My entree was great. So, and we had the same thing. So you said yours was a bit tough, and mine I felt like was slightly overcooked, but it was tender and it was still very delicious. So who knows, right? Like what happens there. My table, so we had different servers. So that was one thing when they divided up the tables, they realized after, or they were trying to figure out the groups. There were some issues with linking dining ahead of time that with the size of the group got some things a little bit messed up, but overall it all worked itself out. We had, like I said, different servers for ours because I had talked about how the how do you say it, the Dauphinese potatoes, the au gratin basically potatoes from night one from the lamb chop menu. He literally brought the potatoes for everybody at the table. Like he ordered potatoes so everybody got to try them and everybody ate their potatoes, so that was fun.
I love that. I don't think it was the worst thing that we had different servers, though.
No, because
Only because when we've done groups where we've had one server, it's been like slower.
So Liz is put in the comments that she said that she had the chicken on at 1923, and she said, "Do not sleep on that chicken." She said it's very good. So
I believe that's actually also on night 2, and Katie had ordered it, or there's a very similar one on night 2. Because Katie didn't order it the first night to order it the second night. But that second night, that cheesy souffle, which I actually hadn't ordered and the server brought it to me anyways, was delightful.
It was a goat cheese souffle, I believe, right?
Something like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was so good.
And I wonder if that could have been made allergy friendly. I didn't bother trying to order it, but it did look good. I was sad to not eat that.
Yeah, and then we skipped World of Marvel. We only had one night there, and I guess unless you have anything else to add to rotational, we can jump right into Palo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we did do a group Palo dinner, and we did get the private room for it, and it was lovely and intimate, and our server, Paulina, was also delightful.
And thought that my French accent was really good and thought I could speak French. And so that just made me so happy.
Yeah. I mean, I think this meal was everything we hoped and wanted it to be. It was delightful.
It was super fun. Everybody got along well. There were new people meeting up with people in the group, and it was just really nice. That particular room fits, they said, 10 comfortably, and we did reserve it in advance. It would have been nice if we could have fit a few more people in there. I think easily you could put 1 to 2 more people at that table. After that, it wouldn't be comfortable. But yeah, it's a really nice to have that experience. So if you have, I believe you have to have 7 people to request the private room, and then it can go up to 10.
Yeah, really and they will fill it sometimes if they have groups of less, because we got the private room on the fantasy, which I think was just a circumstance of having a specific server we wanted and being nice.
Right. Well, that's always such a good plan. Oh, all the time.
Always be nice. That is a good plan. Yes, no, this dinner was phenomenal. I mean, I had the ossobuco. I could not stray away. I told myself I was going to order different things, and then I ordered all of the same things that I usually do and had no regrets about it.
I had the same situation, and it was funny because before the meal, I was like, ooh, is Lake going to order ossobuco? I need to ask if he will. And I didn't even like make the words come out of my mouth. And he was like, do you want me to order this gluten-free so that you can have a bite too? And I was like, yes, I do. Yes, I do. I was dreaming of that moment because sometimes all I want is just one bite of the ossobuco. And because I really do like the prefix menu. And I will say, I really appreciated how Pauline, is it Paulina or Pauline? Either way. Paulina was supportive of the prefix menu, because the server that we had when we were on the Dream was not. And he basically sort of shunned you or made you feel bad if you wanted to order the prefix. And she was like, this is the best value. So if you want the meal with the best value, order this. But Dave and I like to split the salad courses from that. And then Dave gets an entree and his sides, and we each get chocolate souffle. So it just works out so well to order the prefix. And then I get one bite of asubuco, which is the thing I just need a little taste of. It was a delight. Oh, and the souffles, I think, were like the best souffles I've had in maybe the last 10 trips to Palo. They were so good. And Liz got to have a dairy-free one. So just everybody got to have delightful things that night.
Yes, it was a lovely meal overall.
Yes.
And then Katie and I were back less than 12 hours later for Palo brunch because we had the 9:30 a.m. brunch reservation. I really wanted to do brunch because we had not done Palo brunch in years because we haven't been able to get it on some of our recent sailings. So Katie and I just went back, us two, and did it. And it was also delightful. It was kind of fun to go that early because we were like very much ready for breakfast style food. So we had ordered the pancakes and the waffles to compare those. Of course, I did still order the chicken parm because I could not help myself to ordering that. And other cool thing is like that was right when the restaurant opened. So Paulina was literally like standing out there like, okay, like we're ready for you. Like didn't even check in or anything. Even the hostesses were like, oh, hi, Lake. Hi, Katie. Welcome back. Like long time no see.
This is them saying your names is, I think, a commentary that I'd like to give about this ship. The crew members on board that encountered your name one time and then used your name for the rest of the trip was unbelievable. There was one woman who I would often get as the head waiter on the pool deck when I would order my lunch food, who happened to be there multiple. And there was a day I missed going to the pool deck and she still remembered my name days later when she did my pool deck food again. They remember your allergy if you have one. Some of them can remember your stateroom number, and you've just had a little interaction with them. I ran into a couple of crew members, and I realized this will be later, we don't have to re-talk about it, but the cast member interaction, there were a couple of head waiters that we've experienced on previous cruises, and they all like recognized us and could see how, Blake has grown so big, and just that like level of care from these crew members, I feel like was more than I've experienced on other ships even recently. Like they were just on it and really wonderful the whole cruise.
Yeah, so many that, again, had seen your name like one time and were like, oh, hi, Lake. Oh, hi, Katie. Like, we're just on it.
Well, and Paulina was we had a cabana, which we'll talk about later in the show, but on our castaway day, and you guys are in your like running clothes, and she still recognized you and had your names and knew where you were going without, like, you weren't even in the same environment she would have known you by.
Yeah, no, we were like waiting. They were doing like a group check-in, and there was like, I don't know, 20 people there, and they were going over the general, and like Paulina just like came through, and she's like, you guys come with me. You're Cabana 5. Let's go. Like the other cast members, so she's like, they're good. I was like,
just
great.
Like that level of interaction and uniqueness. It's just really phenomenal.
Yes, I have another cast member story that I will highlight at the end of the show. But yeah, phenomenal cast and crew on board overall. And then really, I don't really have too much more to talk about dining. Like I said, brunch was as expected, to be honest. It was delicious and I loved it. And we did a lot of deck food lunches, a lot of chicken tenders, burgers, barbecue, all of that sort of stuff. And I mean, again, Festival of Foods just remains to be a really solid option.
They really, really are. So same, we had duck food a lot. We were in concierge this cruise because our friend and listener Liz booked it with her sad for her, but good for us, I guess, canceled adventure cruise coupon that they received. And so, I had to join her in there so that she didn't feel like she was the only one in the group in concierge. We just had to. But my husband is always up for a concierge sailing if it works out. And so we were happy to do that. We did eat in there a lot for breakfast and would have some snacks because they have hot food on the Wish class ships. And they also have like the counter food, if you will. I don't know how to, the display type case food, right? Where they leave it out. They made me gluten-free scones once. So I requested them early on in the ship or the cruise, and the rest of the week they made me gluten-free scones. That was really nice. And they were able to handle allergy food for both Liz's family that has some allergies and then mine. So that was a really nice place to either go and get a drink or a little bit of food. And I know that I took advantage of that quite a bit as well.
Love it. Yeah, I think that is all I have for dining. Do we want to move on to entertainment around the ship?
Yes.
All right. Well, Katie and I tried not to go overboard too much on doing things. Usually we're like bouncing from trivias and this and that. And we really said we don't really need to do any trivias. We'll go and hang out with people at places and, see what they want to see and do what they want to do. But I think our big highlight activity was definitely they did the Broadway showcase. So they had Cara Lindsay and her husband, whose name is slipping me right now, but he was the original Tarzan on Broadway. And then we knew her from Newsies, but she's done a ton as well. But they did a regular show that was Disney Broadway focused, and then they did an adults only show in Saga. And that was more general. It was kind of like a what's popular now in Broadway and theater. And both of those shows were phenomenal, but the Saga one was so good. And they both sang some songs that were like, oh, we just really like this song and have always wanted to sing it, so we're going to sing it for you. And I will say, too, them singing in the Saga gave me a lot of appreciation for what that space can be used for outside of just like your general trivias. Because it was really cool to see those two like stars singing and being like so close right up to them. Like they're really singing right there for you. So I had a lot of appreciation for the design of that space overall as well from that.
And I feel like as far as that space goes, for the first time, I actually saw them pull the curtains that are around the lower level of that space. I feel like I hadn't experienced that before. So if they're trying to enclose it in for certain things, yeah, we saw the with great power. Look at I got
she
it
got it
once. This is the only time. I called it something different every other time. But that is the how do we describe
it's the Marvel comedy variety show.
Yes. So they've renamed the man performer. He's not Gamble anymore.
I think he will eventually be Gamble again. I think he's a temporary because that was the only time he came out. The whole sailing was only for that show because I think that show needed a second person because all of the stuff that happened in the lobby was only ever Zaya.
Oh.
Yeah, so we did not have a Gamble on this sailing. But
so
there
that's why
was
they called him something different.
Yes, there was a temporary replacement for the show who I thought did phenomenal. He was one of the actors aboard the ship because he was the person who played Pain in the theater show for Hercules.
Yeah, I felt like it was still funny and entertaining. And again, I don't even know anything about Marvel, and it was still funny and entertaining. And I think that those entertainment crew members they really do bring it for those shows.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I mean, that's again talking about some of that Destiny specific entertainment. I do like a lot of the shows that happen in the Grand Hall as well. We didn't see quite as many of those this time. We saw the Loki takeover, and then I wanted to see the Destiny Discovered, which is like the closing show, just because I think that's cool because they have a lot of the characters and the Hercules actor comes out for it. So it's like 8 minutes long too. So it's very easy to pop up and see.
Yeah. So you went and saw that on the last night?
We did. Yep. We stayed up that little bit to go and see it because I enjoyed it so much when we saw it the first time. Yeah. I didn't get quite as good of a spot to see it this time because we kind of rolled up like 5 minutes before. And also, I don't think they did this when we were on our initial sailing, but all of the characters that were part of the show were out doing meet and greets through the Grand Hall all around. So like it was already packed with people trying to get all of those pictures. Like there was 20 characters scattered around the Grand Hall on different levels doing photos, which was cool because there were so many that like there really wasn't a ton of lines for all of them. So like a family came up, they're like, oh yeah, we met like 10 characters in the 10 minutes we've been here.
Yeah, somebody asked in one of the posts that I had, like a question and answer. It was the entertainment spaces, were they crowded? And I would say they were. Like people were really into going to the shows and seeing the things. There was the night we were doing our group picture on the staircase, you and I were standing on the staircase, and there was nothing that made it seem like in 15 minutes there was going to be group photos because there were people waiting for a show that was occurring in the Grand Hall at the same time. And they turned it around and did the pictures, but also at the same time as when a show was going on in that space, and people were coming to them all. So that's just something like if you want a particular spot, you still do have to arrive early. It's still sort of a new sailing.
And it is kind of interesting because on the Destiny, it does have this overall like hierarchy story of like finding your destiny, and through that it does make a congruent story through all of them because it does have like the Loki takeover, and then eventually it switches to a hero like kicks Loki out, and then a lot of the stories are very hero focused from there on out. So there is, a big overarching story if you go and watch a lot of those littler presentations in the Grand Hall. But.
Yeah. And then the stage productions. So there were several I intended to go to. And for whatever reason, something would come up or would make it so that I would miss going to the theater. So we actually watched a lot on our in-room TV. And they were all newly recorded with that Destiny 1 entertainment staff or the actors, right? The crew members. And so it was really fun to actually see those performers again that we saw in the Hercules that we went to in November. And so that was I really enjoyed it. And the production was great. So I'm actually curious if, like for Frozen, will they take, and I need somebody who is watching Frozen on the in-state room TV on either the Wonder or the Fantasy to tell me, is it the Wonder? I feel like Frozen is on. Okay. For somebody to watch and see if it's the same version, because they re-recorded it with the cast on the Destiny, and it was the best of the recorded TV or productions of Frozen that we've ever seen. It was so good. We actually watched it twice that night. Not live, but on the TV.
Yeah, the only one we went to was Hercules, just because we didn't want to spend the time to see the other shows that we have seen, even though I'm sure they would be absolutely phenomenal. But Katie loved Hercules. She was super excited for it, and I think it exceeded her expectations for it. I mean, I loved it too. I thought it was just as good as when we saw it the first time.
Yay. Yeah, I would have liked to see the new, like, entertainment crew members, right? The performers, but it just, for whatever reason, the timing didn't work out. I never got to make it to a show.
Yeah. And then a couple other things that we did around the ship, more of our group type of things. We did do a board game night with a couple people, played board games on a couple locations because we had to move around. The World Cup was going on. So some locations that were playing that got pretty full pretty quick, which was cool because the ship was hyped for it.
Yeah, that was actually fun to see the World Cup finals on the ship.
Yeah, it was playing on Funnel Vision and people were there for it. It was pretty cool. It wasn't, something I was particularly interested in, but I was glad that we got to see kind of that going on. One of those opportunities.
Yeah, and they actually did it because Disney has to pay for those rights to be able to air it, and they had it so even the stateroom TVs could play it. So you didn't have to be in those public spaces. So
yeah. And then I did a Learn to Play Lorcana as well that a couple people came out to. Yeah, it was fun. It was cool to just be able to share a game that I like with people both times.
Yeah, so he was playing, you guys, one hand and then giving the next two hands instructions on how to play the game whilst still playing the hand he was in. So Blake is pretty good at teaching.
It's fun. But yes, I mean, it was just, again, fun to share a game and teach people how to play something new. And I think that's really about all for entertainment things we did.
Yeah, we were supposed to have game night in the cabana, and that just didn't happen. I don't know how. Here's the thing I don't understand is in a group cruise, where does the time go? What happens? What is this vacuum that occurs that sucks out all the time? Because we had a full day in that cabana, and yet somehow we didn't do any games. So Anyway, but it was still fun.
It was very fun. Yeah, and then spaces around the ship. I mean, we did a lot of lounges, a ton of lounges with just hey, we'll be here at this time, and people would come and hang out. We pretty much made our way through all of the lounges on the ship. I mean, they're all pretty much great. I don't think there's really a bad one. It just depends on what you're looking for, what you want to do. We even went and we did Sail Away from Castaway up at Currents, which I think is definitely super slept on, but it was a beautiful evening. It wasn't too hot out there by any means. We had a nice shaded spot, and the bar was super empty, so it was just quiet up there, and it was a super pretty sail away.
I didn't even go out to the deck in that area where Currents was located. I never went in that space once. It's crazy.
Yeah, we kind of just were walking down through in. We're oh, we need to be intentional about going up to Currents, because every time we do, it's always that chill, super nice environment. The bartender was honestly pretty bored up there, so he was I will make you whatever you want, or tell me something you like and I'll make you something different. He was super accommodating to wanting to just do his job basically and work.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, and had a good little sit up there. Spent a lot of time in the Haunted Mansion parlor. I think I went in there 3 or 4 different times.
Did you get 3 or 4 different drinks?
I did the specialty beer. One thing that they did have was all of the bars had their specialty beers. I think there was only one that was sold out on the whole sailing, so I was very happy about that. I tried, I think, at least one in every lounge. So I did do the specialty beer there one time, and then I did a mixed drink another time, and then we also did the whatever the Poseidon, one of the mug ones when I went with Liz.
Oh, did they buy a mug?
They got both of their mugs there.
Oh, good.
That was an intentional trip that we all made down there. They shared their drinks with me, so that was nice.
Very nice.
Yeah, but I mean, a cool lounge to sit in. And the reason I went back so many times was because we sat on the one side. It was I have only ever sat on this side. I haven't even seen what's going on the other side. And when we sat with Liz, we were on the other side, and we got the seats that were next to the little fireplace, which I didn't even know was over there. So that was cool. We only went to DeVille's once. I mean, DeVille's is just impossible to get into because they do the shows out of there, and that makes the bar full. And then anytime there's music in there, it is instantly full unless you're in that lounge 20 minutes before. So that
I
is definitely a space that I think needs like some love or some extra space.
Right. But where would you put it? You can't put it anywhere. So
Correct.
there's not really a way to make more space. I spent a few times in there. I think oddly enough, it was the lounge I went to the most.
Yeah, it was, I think, the one we went to the least, actually. Because we did also go up to the Rose a couple times. That was like the lounge Katie and I would go to when we were like, oh, we need a few minutes, just us two. And then, of course, we went there before Palo as well. But that one is just a great quiet space.
Well, and it is. And it's really nice. So one of my friends that was cruising this week with us, we wanted a moment to just catch up a little bit and have some quiet time. And we're very happy that the Rose was open in the daytime, which the bartender reminded me it's because Palo's open. So if Palo's open on a sea day, the Rose will be open, even though it's at 9:30 in the morning. And it seems like a bar that wouldn't be open at 9:30 in the morning. I will report that on the second day, there was sadly no sommelier bucket.
It was never available.
Oh, it wasn't? Okay.
No sommelier bucket on either parts of the ship.
Wah, wah. But they have a nice Cabernet that was like $11. So it was like a lovely daytime drink. So something to keep in mind if you want like a little less expensive option for up there.
Yeah, that really like recaps most of the time from our time aboard the ship. Katie and I did spend a lot of time on that adult pool deck because we would go up there like late morning, early afternoon to just like read and relax. Like we really didn't start doing things around the ship until like after lunchtime. Every morning we would pretty much go up there or go somewhere to just like sit and read and relax and nap, which was nice. It was nice to utilize that space. I did go up and do the adult pool area too. It was when we were still docked in Cozumel, so it wasn't too crazy. Preston and I went up there, had a drink as well. So it was nice to like utilize that space, but on those sea days, that space was still pretty crazy busy.
Yeah. And I think that most of the time in the mornings, I was socializing with other people and meeting up with people, catching up, stuff like that. There was that one day where we all just sort of slept in forever and everybody was super lazy and super tired. And we all were texting each other, didn't wake up, just getting moving. A bunch of us went back to sleep. So even Blake was like lazing around that one day that everybody just got a little bit tired. But that's what's nice about cruises. You could do that.
Yeah. And like I said, that was the thing that we wanted, was to be okay to choose nothing as often as we could.
Exactly. So let's get into the ports. We went to Cozumel, and some people in the group, like one person did a helmet dive and they said it was fabulous. Their kid did it too. That was a great family adventure. Another one of our travelers did this excursion where they were going to do reef restoration. Something didn't like some one of
so it was reef restoration, and they were supposed to take you to the lab where they were like growing it, but the lab was under renovation, so they didn't really get to partake in that part. And then they said part of it is like you volunteer some time to help with it, but they didn't really have anything lined up for them to do. But they did take them out to snorkel some of the restoration areas that they were working on.
And that excursion is like $54. So if you're looking for something to do, it wouldn't let us book it late because I would have actually added it on for my family, but there was only 4 people, they said, on their whole excursion. They were 3 of them, and then there was one other person. But they would not let me book it late. But I would look at that in the future because like I said, it's $54 and it's pretty cool. Then I think they bought food to eat because they ate tacos, they said. And like there was a beach where Amy got a massage, it was just a bunch of things for $54.
I too would be interested in doing that. When she told us she was doing that, I thought that sounded super cool. We did also have some members of the group do the Alebrije painting, which is kind of cool because it's a Disney exclusive excursion. Because it has some elements to it. And yeah, they said it was lovely. I mean, we've heard nothing but good things from people that have done that. And that's a very family friendly one that you can do as well.
And then you walked the port area twice, but
Yep.
you walked with Dave and I. We went to the grocery store. I love going to foreign grocery stores, and there's one, it's a Mega that is right next to the port. I mean, I feel like the grocery store got closer, which of course it didn't, but maybe a 5-minute walk outside of the port area to get there. So super easy. You can see it from the ship, so you can look for it on your next trip. If there was something that you forgot, you could pick it up. Sadly, we can't pick up beer or wine rather to bring back on board because Disney changed that policy, but that would have been convenient. But it was just nice to go through the grocery store. We joked because they were selling like a motorbike, and we were like, should we bring the motorbike back onto the cruise ship? What would they do?
Look out for Christine or family's motorbike era.
So yeah, no, those motorbikes that people drive around these cities drive us crazy. So we will not be participating in that. But it would have been funny. And we did have a funny security chat with somebody at Disney Cruise Line about how we don't think motorbikes is excluded on the terms and conditions of excluded items. So what if you like rolled up with your mega store purchase motorbike? But anyway, that was fun. Yeah. Some people walked around and did souvenir shopping in the port area. You could walk the other direction and get to like all those fun bars, like Senior Frogs and things like that, and the opposite direction of the grocery store. And then we had Castaway Day.
Yeah, I will say, talking about Cozumel, because I really only was in that little port area and shopping, if you don't have an excursion planned, I don't really think there's a ton that would be interested unless you just want to go to a bar or restaurant that's right there. So if I were to do Cozumel again, I would definitely intentionally say, hey, I have to do an excursion and pick something that interests me. I do kind of regret that we didn't do something more in Cozumel for sure.
Mm. It was kind of nice, though, to also have like a break day. But
I mean, more time aboard the ship was definitely absolutely fine.
Yeah.
Was not upset about that at all. But if I were to do Cozumel again, that is what I would do.
So then we had Castaway Day. I was the first of our group to leave the ship. I went and left early for a run. So I know that they posted that the ship would open to the port at 8:30 or to the island. And for sure, I was off maybe about 10 minutes before. And there was already a handful of people that had gotten, well, a little bit more than that, gotten off ahead of me. I did run from the ship all the way to Serenity Bay. And if you count like the total run time, in case anybody wants to know, it's about 1.7 miles from the ship to Serenity Bay Beach. So if you decide you ever want to do it, there was one guy who was ahead of me, but I think we were the furthest people to have made it to that part of the island. And this guy was flying. Like, it would have been fun if you had gotten off to run early, because I would have been curious, like, where your speed would have been with his, because like he zipped past me at one point and then I saw him and like he was fast. So like I said, really curious where he would be up against you running. But I had a good little 3-mile run. I was going to do a little bit more, but it was hot.
Brutal.
Humid. I did have a little breeze, which was good, but no, the 1 point. So somebody in the chat just asked if the 1.7 included the loop. I didn't do the loop because it was hot out there and I wanted to get back to that one little nature road that goes out by where like the crew member beaches and those other adult cabanas where they go down to the right, if you will, of Serenity Bay. So I wanted to get to that covered tree area to keep running. So I did not go into the loop at all.
Yeah, that's the section that I also ran. I did a very short, very slow run. It was honestly unpleasant, but I ran out basically to the end of that Serenity Bay bike path area and back.
Yeah, because you didn't go until like 10:30.
Yeah, we fell back asleep, so we were late getting off the ship. And
Yeah.
It was also churro waffle day.
Yep.
So we wanted our churro waffles. So yeah, we were slugging. But we had a lovely rest of the day in the cabana.
We had cabanas 5 and 6, and there were 14 of us between the two cabanas. Oh, we lost Lake for a minute. He's back.
I'm here.
Okay. There were 14 of us between the two cabanas, and I think that was a nice number because everybody kind of had space. There was, enough water, things like that. You could have added up to 3 more, but I do think like 7 really is a nice, easy number. Blake played outside and in the water basically all day long. He made sandcastles and just had a really nice day. The water was gorgeous. The tide was super low when we first got there. When I finished my run, the tide was super low, like at the ankles. But then by after lunch or lunchtime, it was up to like our chest in some areas. So it definitely rose quickly. The water was perfect.
Yeah, it was the most time I spent both in the water at Castaway and on Castaway itself. Usually Katie and I are like, okay, 1 or 2 o'clock, we eat our lunch. We're like, all right, let's head back to the ship and, get cleaned up, take a nap, and go do things on the ship before people are back. And yeah, we stayed out. It was like 3:30 by the time I think we headed out. And we were like one of the earlier ones in the group to leave as well.
Right. And then when we finally headed back just a little bit after that, the island was dead because there was just a big monsoon, like huge storm that rolled through.
Which was also nice that we had that cabana to wait it out for. And I mean, just having like full shaded cover with a fan too was, I think, the other thing that helped us stay out there a little bit longer, and cool towels and drinks. Like, yeah, it was just an absolutely lovely day at Castaway.
Yeah, it was really nice. People took naps, people hung out, lots of people hanging out in the water together too. So it was good. The kids played in the water together. That was nice.
Yeah, I mean, overall, just a good cruise in general.
I'm so sad it's over.
I know. That was the one thing I was trying to tell myself, though. I'm like, it's going to go so quick. It's like, you can't be upset that it's going to end. It's like, you have to just enjoy the moment. It's like,
yeah,
it doesn't matter what length of cruise. It always ends too fast.
For sure. My liver, though, is kind of happy that it's over.
I also agree with that.
It had some fun this week. So it could stand to have a little break now.
Yes, I am excited to go back onto my regular diet and regular eating and drinking habits, regular running.
Right. Liz said it felt like summer camp, and really it did. It felt like something. It was just, first of all, it was so familiar with everybody. And some of the people had only met in our Facebook group for Patreon, and they'd been talking for years and finally met in person. And like, just the togetherness of a group cruise is really what is so darn special.
Yeah, it was definitely very special just to like meet so many listeners and Patreons that had like followed. And I got so many questions about like how we met too. And I had to tell the funny story of the Wish Cruise.
How I didn't want you in my group.
That is true.
And now
that'll remain a Patreon exclusive story.
Now I'm happy you're in my group.
Yes. But yes, told that story a lot. Like, just people interested in the show and like, oh yeah, I've been listening for years. And people that they also brought with them that are like, oh, we're going to listen now too. Like, this is super cool. Like, it's cool to see all these people like that wanted to come with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was very filling. The plate is full.
Very full.
Or the cup is full.
As it were. Very tiring though.
Very tiring. I'm excited to sleep in my bed.
Right? Oh, I don't know. I don't need to be in my bed. That Disney Cruise Line bed, it's the best place ever still.
It unarguably is a great bed.
Yes, it's just so good. So good.
But our cat can't snuggle us.
That is true. You don't have your little pets now.
Yeah. We love our little pets.
See, I still had my boy who would snuggle, who spent so much time in our bed. He actually went out and did stuff and enjoyed some time with other kids. The one thing I'll say is, I don't know, I'd like some listeners to comment. Is the Edge providing less activities? Because it feels like it is less to me. Blake used to have more things that he would go to. There would be activities listed, and there was just less. And it seemed to rely more on the kids either making their own fun or paying or playing video games. And so I just need people to report back. Does the Edge have less activities? So,
Christy, do you have anything else you want to discuss about this sailing?
I don't think so. You were going to talk about another cast member interaction.
I did, yes, and I did not want to forget about that one. This actually happened on our castaway day, so it was the last full day of our cruise. But Katie and I were just finishing up at breakfast at Marceline, and we were going to leave, and we both walked by. It was our server from the Fantasy in September, but we both had to do the double take of, that was him, right? So we literally waited for him to come back out and be like, hey, Corey, you were our server. And he was like, oh my gosh, yes. He didn't quite remember us, which was okay. But he, chatted with us for 20, 25 minutes. He was a talker. He was a talker on our cruise too. Loved to just tell stories. So he was talking to us. But then, we were sitting there chatting with him, and he was like, oh, thank you guys so much. He's like, I was really not having a good morning, and I was really going through the motion. And the fact that you guys stopped me and talked to me for a little bit, really is going to make this a good day. Thank you guys so much. He was going to try to come and see us at dinner. He was like, if I could sneak away. We're like, listen, you're going to be busy. You're a server at dinner. It's we won't be upset if that doesn't happen. But the thought was very sweet.
Yeah, that is sweet.
But it was just nice.
It is so nice. And the fact that people can remember you years into the future, it's just amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah. And then other one too, we did have a mixology drink tasting with the group.
Oh, we forgot to talk about that. At 11 p.m. at night.
Yes. But I thought Nikolai was wonderful. He did a great job. Obviously a trooper doing that drink tasting that late for us. And I thought he did a really good job of balancing the drinks, because there were definitely some people that wanted more sweet things, some people that wanted things that were a little heartier. And I thought he balanced that very well. If we started very sweet and it kind of slowly got more and more intricate.
Yes.
But
yeah, I agree. It was a good mix. I should have probably spoken up, because I knew there was one drink I was not going to drink, but there was a component in that drink that I liked, and I should have just asked for the component and not the rest of that drink. For people that are interested in knowing how to book a mixology class or a private drink tasting, really what you have to do is you have to ask a bartender to ask for the beverage manager and to ask the beverage manager if you can have a private tasting. And I have done this now on a couple of cruises, and they can certainly say no. You let them know about how many people you want, then they will find you however they're going to find you. Once they reached out to me at my dinner table and said, this is the 2 times, or this is the time we can offer you for your private tasting if you're interested in that. And then they just automatically bill everybody who is in attendance. And because you have to give them the names or whatever ahead of time, and they set it up. And I kind of think that the bartenders and the crew members that they have do this actually enjoy these little private ones, because they have a lot more leeway and I think ability to sort of do it the way they would like. And so it's just really special. So you may or may not, you may have a different option. We were not in concierge both times that I requested a private tasting. I did try to set this up ahead of time, and there is absolutely zero way to get it set up at this point, unless you're in an official group cruise where a Disney Cruise Line group where one person has paid for the entire charge of the group. You cannot do a private tasting in advance. And we tried multiple ways and multiple times to get that set up. But I am so glad we did it, even though it was at 11 o'clock at night. And it was so much fun.
Yes, it was another lovely experience. Very late at night, but it was a lot of fun. And again, when you have that private group, like you're chummy with everyone. So, it's fun and everyone's talking and no one's like afraid to participate.
Exactly. And even the server could make fun of you because you're in a private group, and he like would find things, I always get made fun of because I bring it on myself. And so he like has the leeway, right? The ability to do that without fear of like Disney saying something bad to him because it's a private little tasting.
Yes, it was another fantastic experience on the sailing.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
But I think that's about all I have. Did we talk about the technology?
Oh, we did not.
Oh, okay. So this is my big negative of this sailing was the technology issues were fairly abysmal on the sailing. So we had originally planned for the whole group, like we had a WhatsApp set up and, I had it where you could scan the QR code, everyone could join, and that was going to be our communication for the ship. Well, WhatsApp did not work. And then
we should really clarify that a bit. So WhatsApp used to be go under the black web, people would call it or whatever, that would sneak in through the Wi-Fi. And WhatsApp and Apple Messenger used to be able to come through when you were logged on to DCL's Wi-Fi. WhatsApp is no longer working unless you have an internet package. And even for me, my chatting did not work with people much of the time.
No, the only person I could effectively communicate with the whole cruise was Liz. I couldn't even get messages to my wife most of the time. But then the DCL app also had issues. Our whole first day, most people in our group could not connect through the app. It would not show you what the activities were or any of that. And I ended up having to literally uninstall the app and reinstall it. And I paid for internet because we were already at sea because, we were told sit tight, it will work eventually. And it just did not. So I ended up buying internet. But then the messaging on that was as unreliable as it tends to be as well.
Well, and because it wasn't working in the beginning and we didn't know WhatsApp wasn't going to work, we didn't think to get everybody's little message codes so that we could actually message people through the app. So it just, us trying to communicate with the group cruise, that was an unfortunate disappointment.
Yeah, for sure. But I hate to leave it on that note.
I know, so let's go back.
All I have.
To talking about something special again. It was just, we're just so grateful and our hearts are so full. And we love that people wanted to come on a cruise with us. And we love to be able to share in these wonderful moments with friends. And it was just really special.
It absolutely was. And, to all of those that did come, and again, it takes great effort, time, and money to come and sail on a whole Disney cruise with us. We appreciate you and thank you so much for joining us. And even for those that considered it or, are in for next time, thank you. And Thank you all for being here, listening as well, and supporting the page.
Yes, we really appreciate it.
Let's do it in 2028. That's what Liz says.
I feel like that's a great idea.
We'll see about that one. We have already discussed, yes, we want to make it happen again. We just have to make it happen again.
Yes. And so we'll see. But we'll see. Not 2027, but, let us know when you want to do a group cruise.
But I think that is a great place to take us out.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you all so much for listening. Christy, where can our listeners follow you?
You can find me all over the internet at Pack Your Pixie Dust. And if you would like to have me help you book a cruise in the future, Lake has created a work with me link that is in the show notes. You could check that out. Lake, where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram and YouTube at MouseGen, and you can follow the podcast at DCL Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And of course, you can find more information at our website, dclpodcast.com. But that is going to do it for this episode. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next time on the DCL Podcast. Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
The DCL Podcast is not affiliated with the Disney Cruise Line, Walt Disney Company, Adventures by Disney, or Run Disney. All of the opinions expressed on our shows are those of the hosts and the guests who appear on the show. If you have any questions about any of these products, please contact the Walt Disney Company.